Hello, hello, hello. It's your girl Erica, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate you. Happy Monday. I hope your day has gotten off to a great start, and also I hope you had an amazing Valentine's Day weekend and just a longer weekend. I know some of us have gotten the extra day off, so I hope you're having a great day. I'm here to review Married to Medicine, season 11, episode 11, which was called Trouble on the Sand. Let's get into it. First of all, like my boy Rodney, the voice says, my cousin Rodney says, let's get into the mess because y'all, it was messy. And I think we probably loved every single minute of it. So let's get into it. The video actually starts off by it's like the morning after. It's the aftermath. Everyone has gotten up the next day and we're seeing them sort of preparing for that day and they're kind of like discussing what happened. Dr. Eugene, Toya, Dr. Mimi, and Steve, they actually leave. Toya says she's glad to get away from the resort. So they kind of walk off or they kind of get in a car and they sort of go to like the little city or town of Key West and they go out and have like just have a drink or have some food at one of the local restaurants or bars there. So as they were, as the waitress was taking their drink orders, they were all discussing, their drinks and what they wanted. And so Toya said that she wanted a margarita, but she wanted it made with Patron. She said because Patron doesn't have the additives or the preservatives that make her or that will tend to have her to act out. And so Steve was like, oh, really? Like, because she said, Toya says normally if they have additives or preservatives, then she tends to act mean. So Steve was like, okay, we didn't see mean Toya, last night. And so Dr. Eugene kind of co-signed and said, no, that was cool, Toya. That was calm, Toya. So Steve was like, okay, well, what happened? Because you kind of lit that match. You kind of got things going. And so, they were kind of like just talking about it. And Toya said, she said, weren't you, you weren't uncomfortable, And so Dr. Mimi said, well, Toya, I kind of side-eyed you, I kind of think you got things, you lit the match and you kind of like took it to the next level. So Toya said, well, I just lit the candle. So Steve was like, well, you kicked the candle over. So what I will say, and this is just a little side note, I like Steve and Dr. Mimi. I think they're going to contribute a lot to the show. I think they'll be back. And when they come back, they're going to interact like no other couple we've ever seen in the past. Buffy was very vocal in season 7, and I think Dr. Mimi will show up the exact same way. And Steve will too, because Steve has already shown like his personality and Dr. Mimi too. And I think they're good for the show. I think, Dr. Mimi gives us the psychiatry piece, but I think that she's just not a quiet woman by nature. I've said that in some of my, other reviews when she first was introduced to us. She's not a quiet woman by nature. And she's going to read the girls and she's not going to, bite her tongue in any way. And Steve isn't either. I can kind of see Steve kind of being honest about what's going on with the men. I don't think he will go overboard. I don't think that he would try to really make a splash and be in the women's business. But I do see that Steve is a personality and that he is someone that will, speak his mind. So anyway, it was just good to see them, sort of getting in the mix because guess what? They're watching, they're looking at who is who and how they react. And this will tell them and this will help them in the future of how they respond. And I'm sure this is where we will see who Steve and Mimi sort of align themselves with and who they sort of become friends with. So that was kind of like a cute little scene. So we move on to Dr. Heavenly, and Jackie was in Dr. Heavenly's room and Heavenly was getting her hair curled and Dr. Simone comes in. And, so the Golden Girls are reunited and they're, Simone sits down and they're talking and, so Dr. Heavenly, of course, asked Simone, what did you think about the night before? And, Simone was like, yeah, that I was very uncomfortable. Just watching that, I was uncomfortable. And so Heavenly said, oh, I thought it was funny. You thought it was funny. Heavenly, you thought it was funny. Now, like I said, even in doing the reviews or the recaps of these shows, I think although we're watching reality TV who you are as a person sort of comes into play. You know, how you conduct yourselves in your normal daily lives. That's what sort of comes into play with this. And so when Heavenly said it was funny, I had a natural reaction like, funny, like, girl, Quad is your girl. Whether Quad was drunk, some of the things Quad said was kind of funny, but Quad is your girl and she was drunk. She's your friend. And she was sort of being told by her ex-husband, she was really kind of being attacked by her ex-husband in a way because he was angry. You saw the whole night go in a whole different direction because of your friend and her ex-husband. How could that be funny to you? And so, you know, I know a lot of people, you know, watch these videos or, you know, we all have our favorites on these shows. I've said it, you know, from day one, who my favorites are. I've made it very, you know, known, and I'm vocal about how I feel about Dr. Heavenly. Of course, you know, don't let it, you know, it shouldn't take away from how you feel about her. You know, I like what Heavenly has done on the show over the years as far as keeping the train rolling. But I also think that Heavenly has gone too far at this point. It's not entertaining to me as much anymore because I feel like Heavenly's just becoming mean and vicious. That's just me. I hope that my opinion doesn't stop you from watching my videos. And I hope that it doesn't, you know, stop. And it won't stop me from listening to your views or your opinions if you love Dr. Heavenly. So, but that's just how I feel about that. And what Heavenly said, I didn't agree with that. I agreed more with Simone about how uncomfortable it was. You know, like I said, it just comes into who you are as a person. And for me, I just wouldn't want to see my friend like that. But anyway, that's just me. So they keep talking. Heavenly continues to talk to them about Apollo coming. Now we know that Heavenly, it was set up by production, or Heavenly sort of maybe introduced the idea to production, whatever the case may be. So we know that Apollo's coming. Of course, Simone, Dr. Simone had already known that there was a chance that Apollo was coming. And so they were discussing that. Again, that's kind of like a bad move. Cause like I said, you know, I think right now at this point, we can kind of see the takedown of Phaedra. We can see that there is something going on where they want to get Phaedra back, and this is part of it. They're using her ex-husband to do it. So anyway, I don't think Dr. Jackie and Dr. Simone would have personally agreed to do it, but I think just because it's part of the show, they're just going to go with the flow. So anyway, they all get ready and they head, you know, they're in the cars and they're going, you know, headed up to the boat so the boat can take them to the sandbar. And, you know, everyone's in a good mood. You know, everyone's ready to have a great time. So we see them on the boat. They're drinking, they're joking around. Even T and King, you know, they say, you know, sort of let bygones be bygones. We're going to be cool. We're going to have a good time. Everybody's on that boat. Hey, 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 hey. They're ready to have a good time and dance and party and drink. And here we have Heavenly standing on the side of the boat calling Apollo, talking about where you at. And, you know, Apollo was like, we're coming and stuff like that. And it's like, oh my God, this is going to be awkward. So, of course, Apollo and Shireen get there. Now, Heavenly did say in the scene with Simone and Jackie that she wasn't sure if Shireen was coming. I'm sure that Heavenly knew that Shireen was coming, and I'm almost sure, you know, production probably told Heavenly, or Apollo even told Heavenly, and she's just not saying anything. She's just, you know, playing it off. I told you if you go back to my review or my recap of Married to Medicine episode 9, I said Heavenly's going to do something that's going to blow everybody's head off. And this is exactly what I was talking about. Inviting Apollo and Shireen put everyone on edge. You know, Curtis was looking funny, like, everybody was looking like, what is this? Like, with them coming on this boat. You know, even Toya and Eugene were in their confessional, and Toya was like, okay, is your ex coming? You know, let me know, like, what's up? Because I don't get this. So anyway, Apollo and Shireen get on, and of course, they're making their introductions and their little rounds about speaking to everyone. Now, like I said, this is where who you are as a person comes into play. I know a lot of people don't particularly care for Phaedra. I get it. I understand it. But for me, how I looked at it is who I am as a person. Okay, Phaedra is supposed to be my girl, my friend, or she's part of this show. I'm sure everyone knows that, and we've all heard the story even from Real Housewives of Atlanta. This was season 9. Phaedra said that Apollo was cheating. She had been pregnant with Dylan, and Apollo was cheating with Shireen. Shireen even showed up at the opening of Candy's restaurant, the OLG gang. Okay. Even when Apollo was in jail, Shireen showed up. Okay, so we know who she is. Okay, in the words of Faith Evans, you get no love from me. And I mean that. Like, if that's my girl, that's my friend, or that's somebody that I'm cool with, you get no love. Like, I will speak to you. I will be cordial. Hey, how are you? But that's it. I'm not going to be hugging. Oh my God, so great to see you. So nice to meet you. Wonderful. Do you need anything? I'm not doing that. And so I think Phaedra kind of peeped everybody's response and reaction to Apollo and Shireen. So she was like, okay, I see who these people are. And that's like, I understand that. I get that, because I would have done the same thing. If I were in Phaedra's shoes, I would have been peeping everybody's response. But also, as a friend or as someone that's maybe just cool with her and knowing what she's been through, I would have been like, nah, Shireen, like, sis, you ain't getting nothing from me. So anyway, they get on the boat, and then, Simone tells them they're going to a sandbar, and everybody's getting, they're kind of like excited. They got their little drinks going. They're having fun, just joking, laughing around. And then, so they arrive at the sandbar, and Simone announces that there are 8 doctors on this sandbar. And of course, I love it when Dr. Simone or any of them always, they give the doctors a shout out, because, this is, although they're on a reality show, but it is good to know that they have 8 medical doctors on this show who are doing big things. Shout out to all of them, even if you're not a doctor, but it was just a point to know that 8 doctors are on this television show. I think that is phenomenal. Happy Black History Month to us. That is always a good thing. So I never have an issue or a problem when, the doctors are mentioned. So they get off of the boat. Again, the guys are going to do their thing. The ladies are going to do their thing. So we kind of see like the interactions and stuff. And we see, Steve is like, Steve wants to do the male bonding thing. He wants to throw the football around on the beach. He wants to get that testosterone flowing and just let the men have a good time. So I really, like I said, I think Steve is really, really good for the men. Some of the guys probably would have been down for, like King and some of the other guys, I think, and probably Cecil. I think Dr. Eugene, Damon, Curtis, and Dr. G, they probably would have just been chilling on the sideline. Check probably would have gotten in with the other guys, throwing the football around, because he seems to be kind of like that kind of guy too. As far as like, interacting and sort of the horse playing on the beach. That's what I mean. So, they were talking, so Dr. Eugene kind of made a joke and said, yeah, King, we're glad you're here. You did a favor to the ladies by taking off your shirt. But then, Dr. Eugene was also telling him, hey, we appreciate you, welcome to the group. You seem to be, interacting with everyone well. We enjoy having you around. And so King responded and said, thank you for having me. You guys have been really cool. I enjoy being around. And so Dr. G interjected and said, yeah, well, I haven't been as welcoming, and my bad. It's because of the history with Quad and I and things that were said. And he was apologizing without apologizing and saying, hey, I could have done a better job, but I didn't. So here's my way of saying, I'm throwing an olive branch. It's all good, and let it be peaceful from here on out. So, I think King accepted that, and I think he was cool with that, So, of course, they kept talking, and then Dr. G kept going. So, of course, you extended the olive branch. Okay, that was enough, Dr. G. You didn't even have to say anything else. But, of course, we know that Dr. G is so full of everything that's happened and what's going on. I think Dr. G wanted to poke the bear a little bit. It's like he wants to say, I'm a doctor. I'm not going to fight anyone. I'm not going to, put my career in jeopardy. But then at the same time, I'm still going to challenge you as a man and say what I want to say. So I think the other men saw that, and it made them kind of nervous in a sense. Not that they were afraid of what was really going to happen, but they just didn't want their time ruined. You know, sometimes when you're on vacation, you want to have a good time. You don't want to argue. You don't want to get into anything unnecessary. And I think that's where the guys were. So they were kind of like saying, if Dr. G, shut up and just let it go. So anyway, you know, of course, you know, things kept being said. So of course it's starting to brew, you know, that volcano hasn't erupted yet, but the rumbles are there. So of course they go over to the ladies, and of course Check and Phaedra, they were, you know, horse playing around on the beach, and, you know, they were starting to ask questions about you know, checking who he is. And so, you know, of course, Shireen was offering up all the information, and Apollo wasn't too far from the ladies either. He seemed to have gotten in on their conversation too about who who Check is. And, you know, Apollo had already had a conversation with Heavenly and Quad on the beach. On the boat as they were going to the sandbar about some things about, you know, he knew Check and Check is his boy. And, you know, it seemed like he was saying like Phaedra kind of like set it up for all of this to happen. Well, Apollo, okay, side note, we don't care. You know, that's number one. And number two, we don't care. Number three, we don't care. You know, whether, you know, Phaedra set it up or not, Apollo, we know your history as well. You know, you can say that, yeah, you know, Phaedra's a liar, whatever the case may be. She may very well be. But we also know that you're a liar as well. We know what you did to Kenya on the Real Housewives of Atlanta. You had everybody up in arms thinking that Kenya was chasing after you and she wanted you so bad, yet it came out that you made the whole story up. So, you know, your credibility is shot with me anyway. I mean, other people may feel differently about Apollo, but for me, Apollo could be telling the truth. He could be telling 100% of the truth. But again, his credibility is shot with me because I know how Apollo rolls. And Apollo will do anything to make Phaedra look bad. Anything. And some people may say, well, Phaedra, he doesn't have to do anything because Phaedra does it all on her own. Yeah, well, he's definitely going to add, you know, some sprinkles to it. So we already know where Apollo is. But anyway, Shireen went on to say that, you know, Check is a family friend. He comes over for the holidays. He hangs out. And we know some things were probably cut out that we don't know. Like a lot was probably said that we didn't hear, but we did get that little tidbit that Check knows them very well. He hangs out at their home. So then Toya started asking Check the questions, and Check was like, you know, why are you asking me all these questions? Check had already said, like, where are the drinks? We're on the beach. We should be having a good time. It shouldn't be about a whole bunch of questions. And, you know, but Toya Bush Harris, honey, had her, like, thank you 50 Cent, her 21 questions, and she was going to get to the bottom of who Check was. And so I think that kind of irritated Phaedra because as she walked over, she could hear things that were being said. So here's the thing, and this is how I feel about that. And I may have, like I said, you know, I may not feel like everyone else, but this is how I'm looking at it, like how I would look at it in my normal life. Phaedra's looking at it like, okay, I'm in this group of ladies. I'm married to Med now. You know, I'm not on the Housewives of Atlanta. I'm with Married to Med. You ladies know me. You know, I'm fairly new to the group. You know, of course, we're not the best of friends, but we're not enemies either. You know, I was with you last year when you wanted to take down Quad. I even had a part in it or had a hand in it myself. I did, you know, I sort of sided with you ladies in what you were doing. And Phaedra could have been doing it just to better her position in the group, but she did it. She went along with the other ladies. She said that she kind of saw where Quad made some mistakes. And so she sort of aligned and took the other lady's side. Now, fast forward to now, you know, you have Shireen, Check, and Apollo, and now you're thinking, you know, now she's thinking, okay, they're dogging me out. They're, you know, setting this up. Apollo and Shireen are here. They shouldn't be here. And the other ladies seem to have welcomed her. And now Shireen's telling me, well, Phaedra, we don't care what you think. Oh, really? Okay. So now Phaedra, she unleashed the beast and called Shireen. She was like, you know, you big back BI, I don't care. So we know that Phaedra was hot. When Phaedra starts talking like that, normally we see Phaedra, assassinating everybody in the confessional. Well, she decided to just say it to Shireen's face because, again, she doesn't like Shireen. And the history behind it is understandable. Shireen is allegedly the mistress or the lady that Apollo was seeing while Phaedra was pregnant and cheating on Phaedra with. Phaedra's not going to feel good about Shireen. And, Shireen wants her 20 seconds of fame, but you trying to, whether you like Phaedra or not, Shireen, you don't know these ladies and you should just be happy to be there, so to speak, and just be sort of cordial and not say much. But Shireen doesn't care because that's not her personality. So Shireen, thinks she's going to go at Phaedra. And now Phaedra's looking at the other ladies because she's looking at it like, okay, so I see that none of you are really going to take up for me or going to take my side. And that's how Phaedra looked at it. And I kind of understood that in a way. Now T, I agree with T. Of course, we know here it is. Anything T does in this group, it is like the worst thing ever. But T was right. T was like, so she asked Shireen, well, who invited you? So, of course, T had every right to ask that because she and Phaedra are cool. And yeah, I think me as a person and me being a friend to someone or being cool with someone, I would have probably, who are you? Who are you and why are you here? You're here, you're being very vocal and you're talking to us and you're saying things, but okay, who really invited you? Because technically we don't need you here. And so T made a good point in her confessional. She said if it were Dr. Jackie, Heavenly would have asked the same questions, and she's 100% right. She would have. If that had been anyone other than T or Dr. Contessa, it would have been cool. If Toya had asked the same question, Dr. Heavenly would not have gone off. If Simone had asked that question, Dr. Heavenly would not have gone off. Even if Dr. Contessa asked the question, Dr. Heavenly would have tried to rip Contessa in her confessional, but she wouldn't have said nothing to her face, especially after, Contessa already pulled up on her and told her to square up hoe before. So no, we know how Heavenly rolls, but Heavenly sees T as a little girl. She has no respect for her. So of course, Heavenly acted out and told T, mind your effing business and don't say anything to me and this, that, and the other. You're a stupid and dumb girl. I don't talk to you or whatever. And what I don't like, it has nothing to do with who your favorite is and who your favorite isn't, but it's about right and wrong. And see, my thing is now I'm looking at it like, okay, I'm looking at all the ladies sideways because see, you guys, just because you don't like T and you don't want T in the group anymore, you allow her to be disrespected even when she shouldn't. Simone was like, T is all the way wrong. No. Here's Simone. No. She's all the way wrong. No, Simone. No. You're all the way wrong. Because if that had been somebody that you care about, if that had been Toya, you would have taken Toya's side immediately. But because you don't particularly care for T and you want her out of the group, you think it's okay for her to be disrespected by Heavenly at all times. And so that situation escalated, of course, and went where it didn't have to go, and it snowballed into something that it didn't have to be. But of course, we know it's Married to Medicine, it's drama, it keeps that whole thing going, okay? So of course, now Heavenly's acting like she wants to fight T. Simone's holding her back for what reason, I don't know, because we already know that Heavenly ain't going to do jack, okay? When Heavenly had a chance to prove who she really was, and I'm not saying that they should fight, I'm not saying that, but Heavenly had a chance to prove whether she was for real or not. We saw who Heavenly was. Heavenly was backing up and calling for security. Heavenly was scared of Dr. Contessa. So now Heavenly is in such a rage and she almost about to come out her clothes and Simone trying to hold her back on T. Girl, Simone, let her go. Heavenly ain't going to do nothing. Let her go. And we going to see what Miss Heavenly is really made of. Heavenly ain't nothing but a bunch of talk and a bunch of mouth. And she gets everybody going and makes everybody believe that she's this and that. Heavenly ain't about that life at all. Trust and believe. So my thing is, and of course T was upset. They were exchanging insults back and forth. And it really was unnecessary because, again, they were having a good time. And then I think Steve kind of noticed and the men noticed, okay, we hear Heavenly, here we go. So of course that situation's getting out of control. Phaedra has to pull, T away just to kind of get her to calm down. So then King says, this is my perfect time to talk to Dr. G. Let me pull him to the side because I don't want him getting gassed up in front of the other guy. So he said, look, going forward, I'm going to let what happened yesterday, I'm going to let that slide. I'm going to eat what you told me earlier. I'm going to let it slide. Just going forward, let's be clear. If there's a problem, let it be addressed to me. So Dr. G was like, okay, but that's fine. But at the same time, you're telling me basically to temper myself. But if Quad says something to me, I'm not going to not say anything. Well, that's where Dr. G went wrong, because Dr. G should have said, cool, hopefully we won't get into it anymore. And that's the end of that. That's what Dr. G should have said, even as a professional. The most important thing is you want to kind of smooth the situation out. You don't want to add gasoline to the fire. And that's what Dr. G should have said. Let's come up with a solution. And the solution is to just let it go. And so of course Dr. G, he wants to show he's the man. He been wanting a little piece of King anyway. Because he feels like, I don't know if it's it's probably a man thing. It's kind of like, okay, you tried to one up me, or you trying to now stun on me or show me up. And Dr. G had a problem with that. But Dr. G, a lot of people said that King, well, let me say, last night I was on Twitter or X, and a lot of people were saying that King was wrong. Do you think King was wrong? I don't think King was wrong. I think what King said was, it made sense, like saying, hey, going forward, if there's a problem, let me just address it. Don't go back and forth with Quad about it. Don't say anything to her. Let me kind of address it. And then I know that they're not married, but he is Quad's significant other. And I just think that it would be better if the men kind of handled it versus Greg going back and forth with Quad, as his ex-wife, and Quad going back and forth with Greg as the ex-husband. I just think that, it could be handled a little better going forward. But then Greg, of course, he, I don't know if he was drinking, but Greg seemed to be a little amped up and sort of ready for that confrontation. And so here we go. Greg wanted this. You can tell it's a part of him that he wanted this. Even early, if you saw, when he was talking to King, he kind of got up out of his chair and walked toward King. And even though he didn't say anything bad at that time, it was just the point that he kind of walked up on King. So to me, that made me feel like Greg wants something with King. So anyway, we see, the words are exchanged, and now everybody is in it's almost like mayhem on the beach, because now it's kind of like, oh my God, everybody's about to go and get into it. Quad's running down the beach. Steve takes off running down the beach. T snatches her arm from Phaedra. She's running down the beach after Dr. G. It is a complete mess. And we will see what happens next week. Will King swing at Dr. G, or will they get them in time enough to stop what we see is getting ready to happen, which is the collision of King and Gregory? Stay tuned. Stay tuned, people. It was a good episode. Like I said, there was a lot going on. And this is what we like. We like the drama. There's nothing wrong with the drama. I have no problem with the drama. But like I said, some things I feel like it could be handled a little better. Or it's not necessary that, the way it happens, I guess I should say, it didn't really have to happen that way. So tell me what you think. Let me know how you feel about it. I would love your opinion. Please, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and also leave me a comment. On my last video, there were a couple of comments, and I appreciated those because, it lets me know not only that you're listening, but that, you're thinking about what I'm saying. Maybe, like I said, I will say something that causes you to look at something different, or maybe you'll say something to me that causes me to look at things differently. I have not watched anyone else's review of last night's episode. I wanted to, just get my video out first, and then I'll, sort of look at some other videos or whatever, because I wanted to be true to, my own opinion and my own feelings about it. So I did that. So now that I have completed the video and I finally, have gotten out all of my thoughts, please let me know what you think. We had it was a lot of meat. And guess what? There was a lot of conversation. There are a lot of things that you can talk about even in this episode. Like, hey, are you on Phaedra's side? Do you agree with Phaedra? Do you agree with Apollo? Do you feel like Shireen should have come up? Of course, Shireen is Apollo's wife, so he was going to bring her. But do you think Shireen was wrong? Do you think King was wrong? Do you think Dr. G was wrong? How do you feel about Heavenly and T's fight? Do you feel like Heavenly was wrong, or do you feel like T was wrong? Let me know, and let's have the conversation. Let's get into the more of the mess by communicating with each other. So again, and if you don't, I still appreciate your view. Thank you so much. Have a great day. I will see you on the next video. Please know that there is more to come on my channel. I'm looking forward to doing some other things, but right now I just wanted to give you something from Married to Medicine. So anyway, enjoy your day. Have a wonderful day, and I'll see you on the next video. Love you guys. Bye.